So this is still flying today with the McDonnell Douglas MD-600. And that's what comes up above the blue part, but can't get away because they're attached.
Okay.
And the black part is on wheels. So it just goes around a parking lot like that. So you can practice hovering. Also notice, this is the only helicopter I've ever seen that has a one-bladed main rotor system. Canadians up in Vancouver, Canada. So we found out about it, we went up there and got it. They were so happy to get rid of it that they threw us a party. And Canadians love to party. Okay, so they threw us a party. Hey, you go, take it all with you. And we did. Helicopter in the United States was flown by Igor Sikorsky in 1939. But all countries, Germany, England, France, Brazil, where all had engineers that were trying to develop helicopters that would fly. In fact, the first successful helicopter was actually flown in Germany in 1936. So some problems with which cancels the torque effect. Okay? The problem was his most powerful engine that he could get, he bought in Paris, France, which was the hub of aeronautical knowledge and expertise in the early 1900s. So he bought a 25 horse. A helicopter can hover, an autogyro can't. But it's a lot cheaper to produce, much cheaper than a helicopter. Because you don't have all of the maintenance overhead that you have with a powered rotor system. This helicopter. You know Howard Hughes. Yeah. Does everybody understand how helicopter works? Okay, helicopter, 3 sets of controls. So right here is a stick called the cyclic stick. And that apply power like this, and the aircraft accelerates. And then down here on my feet, I have rudder pedals. So rudder pedals control the tail rotor in the back and give me yaw control, like that. Company when he was only 17 years old. How old are you? I didn't mean to ask, that's okay. When he was only 17, and he built and flew his first helicopter when he was 19 years old. And he was the only helicopter manufacturer on the west coast of the United States. Everybody else was on the east coast. So everybody else got military money from Hiller, and this was about 2003. So in San Francisco Bay, at an airport called San Carlos Airport, every year they have a helicopter-only air show called Vertical Challenge. And that's us. So we went to Vertical Challenge many years in the early 2000s. But here, I want to show you the picture when he's only 19 years for a project. So the city of Ramona here gave us a grant, and we bought all of these flat screen displays. So we hope to have this one flying one day. We're waiting on some more parts for it. But this is a very versatile and capable helicopter with good high altitude performance. Do you know the highest place on the surface of the earth that helicopter has landed? The same one. It wasn't an Alouette, but it was made by the same company.
What's the name of the company again?
Good question.
Oh, well, I'm sorry.
Nobody asked me that.
Not the company, the name of the helicopter,
It's called an Alouette. Alouette 3.
Alouette 3. All
yes, right. Alouette. And they make another helicopter called the Gazelle. And their helicopters are very popular. Propane? That's a propane tank, like a barbecue. Yep. This is a propane-powered helicopter. So it's called a pulse jet system, pulse jet. And look at the blade tip. Each tip, and on that one up there, each tip has a jet engine on it. And the jet engine is powered with propane. So the air comes in here, and the propane comes up through the blade like this. It's mixed in there, and then ignited.
Very good.
So it's called a pulse jet. This is what's called a kit helicopter. So you buy it in a kit, and you make it in your garage. And you can see this one flying on YouTube. Helicopter in there, you'll see that, or propane helicopter. You'll see this one flying. And I think no tail rotor. Mm-hmm. So because it's tip jet powered, there's no torque problem. So it just uses a regular airplane rudder in the back. The successful helicopter in the United States didn't fly until 1939. Igor Sikorsky. So this one here is from 1947. So less than 10 years later. And this is a small, okay, usually the manufacturer does that. And then 52, S-52, it was the 52nd design. So remember, I told you, Sikorsky tried to make it in 1909. He couldn't. So he made fixed-wing airplanes. He made fighters and bombers. He made the first 4-engine biplane back when he was only 23 years old. To leave Russia, they went to Paris, and by 1920, they were in the United States. And without a penny, engineering-wise, of putting a second set of flight controls in the cockpit. So you can look inside. So you can see, when we bought this in the Czech Republic, and then they had to take it apart, put it in contained DOT, PDOT. That's how they measure airspeed and altitude. Okay? And that would write in 0G. So astronauts could use it, the astronaut pen. And the Russians said, we just use pencils. So they use pencils, which will write in 0G, no problem, right? You know, Barbie has a pink Cadillac and all that, because it's pink, right? But this was part of the thought, a helicopter in every garage. So this was made in the late 1950s, first flew in 1960, and it was made by a man in Seattle, Washington, and just by himself, his own private company. And he called it, goes in the water like a boat and flies like a helicopter. It uses a single gas turbine engine that runs this engine.
Paddles. Moves aerodynamic.
There's Igor Sikorsky flying his first helicopter right there. There he is. And he always wore, he never wore a crash helmet. He wore a felt hat on his head. But anyway, another problem with helicopters is weight and balance. You understand, we're center of gravity. A salvage yard, and they sell it to someone. Like Mexico just bought a bunch of Hueys from the U.S. military that were in salvage. But now they're down there, and they can reassemble them, put them back together. So we will get aircraft, and we'll get tractors and forklifts and things like that out of salvage. And we restore them, and we can sell them and make money. So that is one of our means of making money, because it's very expensive, lots of overhead, okay? And we actually have bought aircraft from them. Did you see the Learjet out in front?
Yeah.
The jet? That's a Learjet. Mm-hmm. We bought that from salvage. And for an aircraft, you have to keep it for 5 years. You go coast to coast in the United States without landing to refuel. They did aerial refueling. And so that's when one aircraft refuels from another. Radial engines didn't work very well in the high heat and humidity of Southeast Asia. But the gas turbine engines were a lot better than jet engines. Yeah. We haven't flown to an air show in a number of years, though. It's broken now. It needs an engine change. So we have to change the engine. Yes. So, Angel, as a pilot, have you ever used the term, I'm going to come over here so you can see this video right here. So that's Sikorsky flying his first aircraft. But that's Frank Piaseki's first aircraft. So it was single rotor tail rotors. But there was a problem with that. But here's this big tandem rotor. In fact, we think that aircraft... Understand the term engineering, semi-monocoque? Okay, so this is semi-monocoque construction. So the skin is one of the main structural components, and it's all metal. It was also the first helicopter to do a loop.
Wow.
Helicopters aren't designed for aerodynamic, or for
aerobatics?
Acrobatics. Okay, they're supposed to be just like this, not like this. Okay, and why? Because the pilot would come in and pull up like this. And the pilot came in, and he pulled up, and he went too high. So before he knew it, the aircraft was in the vertical like this. And he goes, oh, that's not good. So he just kept going like that, making sure that he was always pulling power to collect it, and came all the way back around like that and did a loop. And that was the first time and the last time they ever did that. In the left seat. So typically in a fixed-wing airplane, the aircraft commander in the bottom. So the trap door is down. You can see it in this video over here. Come over here. You can see the trap door in the video, and you'll see it go down to someone in the water. So it uses a single Continental, about 500 horsepower engine. He was picked up by a ship, a destroyer. So him there, but in 1950-51, Frank Piasecki sold his key. This is a Piasecki H-29, but the big flying banana there is a Boeing Vertol. So this is a Boeing Vertol 107 right here, a BV 107. A Chinook is a Boeing Vertol 230. Howard and Joe over there went back to Cherry Point, and we worked for about a week getting this back in flying condition, and then we flew it back here. So we flew this cross in the late 1990s. We were getting insured by Lloyd's of London. You heard of Lloyd's of London?
Yes.
And the insurance from Lloyd's of London was $3,000 a year. That was in 1990, or 1995, 98, something like that. Those are cargo rotors. So you can put the cargo pallet. Very, very versatile. So I flew these off the back of ships in the Navy. So you'd carry cargo from one ship to another. But now these are still being used today. In fact, that's the flying banana over there. So this one is called, it's called the H-46 Sea Knight. But the military guys call it a frog. This is a frog. Because it looks like a frog or a toad. When you're looking out in front, it looks like a frog squatted down like that. So they call it the frog. That's its nickname. The helicopters is up in Torrance, California. That's up near Los Angeles. And they build more helicopter in 1 year than everybody else does in the world. They make more helicopters than everybody else. They have a factory up there. There's hundreds of them. They look like jelly beans because they're all different colors. This helicopter here, how old do you think that helicopter is? 30? Come on, H-21 and our HRP. So that's us landing at the tower out here in 2016. So over here on this wall are all cutaway drawings. We have coaxial rotor system, we have side-by-side rotor system, and we have tilt rotor system. So those are all the different all cutaways. And you can see inside, transparent. Yeah. Then over here in this cabinet, this is of the helicopters comparing them from the real tiny one to the largest ones down here. So they're all 1/72nd scale. Only one of them isn't. They're all mainly US. There's some foreign ones in here, and then foreign ones on the other side. Those are all Russians over there. So the only one, the radial engine one crashed and was destroyed. The gas turbine, and then they finished production. They wouldn't produce them after that. And the gas turbine engine one was eventually destroyed by Boeing. It never crashed. They just cut it out, which was unfortunate. But anyway, all of the others are 1/72nd. The biggest helicopter in the world is a Russian helicopter, relative size.
Is this one that you said from Russia?
No, that's not Russian. That's a US Chinook, so you're right, that's not Russian. But you can see that's in British marking.
Yeah.
That's a Chinook.
Oh,
An H-47.
yes.
100, which was his first one that he flew. That one's covered. This is actually the first one uncovered right there, and in that painting up there. And then that's his R, and that increases the stability of the rotor system.
Okay, RC.
Like, yeah, a lot of RC helicopters use them. And then Frank Piasecki, his first helicopter was single rotor tail rotor. But then he decided he didn't want to fight with the patent people. So he went heavy lift. The big helicopter. He was going big right away. Now, this is a good helicopter book, 100, which the military called the HUK, H-U-K, for Helicopter Utility Command.
Oh,
Yeah. And he was the first one. Now, he also started back when he was in his 20s, in 26, not when he was 26 years old, he started his helicopter company in his mom's garage at home. That's where Command Aircraft started. It was in his mom's garage. And his first helicopter used the intermeshing rotor system. So he didn't. It's intermesh like this, and they're synchronized so they can't hit one another. But that gives it great stability. In fact, we've seen a lot of those flying around here.
Where is he from?
He was based out of Connecticut, I think. Yeah, Connecticut.
Oh, but he's American.
So it has 4 rotors on it. Each of the rotors has its own electric engine, so it's all electric, and they're all linked together by a computer system. So and it's all remote controlled, so it's a drone. And right now it has 600. If I go out there, I see drone Mark or Rick. I can ask them, and I'm sure Rick will know. But Rick's been working on that one. He is the mechanic that worked on the Roton rocket. Now behind us right here, 60K, a really nice one, okay? But you can get small kit ones too, and that's what's behind us right here. So this is called the Benson gyrocopter, and this is actually from the 60s and 70s. And it was made by a man here in San Diego. That's him flying it right there. And then the rotor system. So the rotor system is self-powered. It's just by the airflow coming through it, like that. Now, he used this back in the 1970s to set a world autogyro record. So he flew it for 18 hours straight without ever landing, refueling 16 times from the back of a pickup truck. So he'd come in, that's him right there, the guy that did it, and he made this one right here.
He's from San Diego, right?
Yeah, he's from San Diego.
What's his name again?
His name is, hang on just a minute, I will tell you.
Something Benson?
No, Benson was the designer, Igor Benson. He was the aviation designer. But the guy who made it, God,
well, don't worry, I'll just...
it's Leroy Chumway. Leroy Chumway.
Thank you.
I thought it was written there, but it's not. But it's on the news here. Leroy Chumway, that's him. But anyway, he'd come in real slow behind the pickup truck. An autocopter, but most people called it a Benson gyrocopter. So you're sitting on the gas tank. And it's plastic.
For how many hours he had to flew?
18 hours.
18 hours.
Yeah, refueling 16 times from the back of a pickup truck. Over on the left-hand side, U.S. Military came out with a proposal to all big companies. We want the simplest helicopter with whatever's laying in your shop. No plans, no projects, go make it. And so they went down to the shop floor and they got pipe and nuts and bolts and welded a gas tank and whittled some blades. And someone brought in an outboard motorboat motor. That's a motorboat motor. And they put it all together, found a crazy pilot person, and they actually flew it. And they crashed it too, as you can see right there. But he walked away from Wilson Hobbycopter.
How do you get the...
In the back of a magazine like Popular Mechanics, there would be an ad that would say, send us $5 and we'll send you plans for your helicopter.
And then what you get?
And this is what you got, the Adams Wilson Hobbycopter. It wasn't assembled, you had to make it. So you'd go to your garage, go to the hardware store, get nuts and bolts and pipe. You have to find your own motorcycle engine. That's a Triumph motorcycle engine. You can see the Kickstarter on the other side. They would have to send you blades. You couldn't make the blades. But then you'd put it together in your garage. There you can see it flying in the video right there. And one day when you felt real brave.
360 gallon?
Yeah. And how big are the electric engines, Rick?
I think they're 115 horsepower.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 115 horsepower each.
150.
So 4 electric each one.
Great.
So it's about, I think it's 1985 is when it was built.
This is the new technology and the new technology.
Just put something in the subject line. You know, like a helicopter museum or volunteer. And we built the picnic area here. So we built that. And the lean-to hangar on the other side. So we built this into the museum. So before you have to go into that gate down there and drive all the way around. So then we built this walkway. But transonic. So it has what's called a supercritical wing on it for transonic flight. But again, it never went in forward flight. All right.